Today on Kids Club Crochet, we're going to crochet hearts. Puffy hearts that you can use any time of the year, and I'm calling them pocket hearts. Let's get started. All right, for today's project, here's what you're going to need. We're going to need a crochet hook, of course, and I'm using this one that is at H 5.0 millimeter, and there's an 8 there as well. So that's the size I'm using. I'm comfortable with this one, so I'm going to use this for the size that we're going to make. It works with the size of yarn I'm using as well. I've got a pair of scissors, I've got a yarn needle, and I have a stitch marker. A couple other things. Always, because we're crocheting, we're going to need some yarn. I have fiber fill. This is just stuff and fluff that you would find inside of pillows, inside of stuffed animals, little stuffies. So fiber fill, and a couple optional things. This is really going to be how you want your end product to be. I've got a little dowel rod here, or you could use a skewer that you make it like a little heart that sticks in. Maybe you make several of them. You make a little bouquet of hearts. I grabbed some ribbon, but you could also use yarn and strung several of them together. And as you look at this, I want to show you this right here. My pink, my purple, my white, all the same pattern. And they were the same type of yarn as well. But you see how they came out different sizes? That has a lot to do with how much of this fiber fill I put inside. So we'll talk about more about stuffing them and when we get to that step. Alrighty, so we've talked about everything that we need. Let's clear our space and let's start crocheting together. And I've also got a pattern. I didn't mention this, but this pattern will be part of our video. It's a great example of what we can do together. If you need a refresher on anything that we're doing here, single crochet, we've got a video just about single crochet. If you need an explanation on how to read a pattern, we've got that also in our Kids Club Crochet videos. So be sure to reference those. All right, so we're going to get started on this. I'm using some blue yarn here. I always like to grab some out to get started. I set my extra supplies aside. And my pattern is going to tell me the first thing I need to do is I'm going to make 2 heart tops. So it's talking about these pieces right here. I'm going to make 2 of them. One of them I'm going to make, and I'm going to cut off the yarn, and then the second one I'm going to keep going and attach, and you'll see how that all works here in a moment. All right, now the instructions say that you can either make a magic ring or you can do the chain 3. I prefer a magic ring, but maybe that's a little tricky and you don't prefer it. Some people don't, and that's okay. So for the magic ring, I come up in between these 2 fingers, and I've got a long tail here. I wrap over towards me, then I come back up in between those same fingers and crisscross. That's how I start a magic ring. And I prefer a magic ring because I can get it closed up really tight, and that way you can't see a hole either spot right there. All right, so I'm going to go under this loop that's closest to my fingernail, and then I'm going to come and I'm going to grab this guy. Now I'm holding with my thumb right here, and this finger is holding that a bit tight. So I'm going to pull that through, and then I'm going to go back and loop under again, and I'm going to pull that through. All right. So now I've got my magic ring, and the thing that makes it magic is you can tighten it up with that tail. Okay. But if you choose to do the chain 3 and slip stitch in your first stitch, that is fine too. All right, so I'm going to hold my chain here, or my magic ring, and now I'm going to do step 1, which is round 1. I'm going to single crochet 6 in this opening right here. So if you need a refresher, remember we've got a whole video just on single crochet. But single crochet is that I'm going to loop over and pull it through, then I'm going to loop over and pull through both. That's your single crochet stitch. Now I'm going to do that 5 more times. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. I've got my 5 stitches, and this stitch is way far away from here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and just pull it tight. It's trying to twist on me. It's okay, we got you. You see how that hole is closing up when I do that? All right. So let's count our stitches from this way. I want you to be able to see how you count these stitches. See that V right there? That's 1 stitch. There's a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, and my 6th one got swallowed up here. So let me pull it out a little bit. And that might happen to you too. It's okay. You can find it and pull it back out again. And if it just completely disappears on you, just make another stitch right here. It'll be okay. But there it is. I dug it out. It had gotten swallowed up when I cinched everything up. So I've got my 6 stitches. Okay. So the next round says, now I'm going to do 2 single crochets in each one of these stitches. So I started off with 6. Now I'm going to do 2 in each one. I'm going to end up with 12 stitches. I'm not going to slip stitch. My pattern tells me that I'm going to be continuous, and I'm going to go in a round continuously. All right. So I'm going to go in here. This one's going to be a little hard to get started. And so what I do sometimes is I'll put my needle there and I'll pull it over. It's really going to be trying to be difficult, but we got this. There we go. Okay, got it in there, and loop over, pull through, loop over, pull through both. Let's do that one more time. Remember, 2 stitches in each single crochet that we started with. All right, got that, and I'm going to keep going. So there's number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right. So round 2 was to create 12 stitches. We did 2 in each of the single crochets that we started with. So check, we are done with that one. Now round 3 is that I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each one of these stitches. So that will be a total of 12 again, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pull out some more yarn, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right, so this is one of my tops. I can see a little bit of a hole right there. I'm going to pull my tail right here and cinch that hole up real good. There we go. Now, I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to snip that off. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull this tail up into, this is going to be the inside right here. So I'm sticking my needle right in the middle, right here. I'm going to take this long tail that was part of our magic ring at the beginning, and I'm going to loop it in there and pull it through. And now I've got these two tails inside. Now this one's pretty far away. If I were to tie this off in a knot right here, it's going to pull this edge into the middle more than I want it to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this opened up a little bit, and I'm going to take, and I'm just going to take my needle and go through some of these stitches till I get to close to the middle one here. Then I'm going to put my yarn in through my yarn needle there. Oops, not all of it got there. Let's try again. I'm going to fold it in half this time and push it through. Okay. And now I will pull this through here. And it's really tight right now. If that ever happens to you, just pull on one of the ends here until it comes through. And we'll reshape it when we get finished here. Okay, so that's done. And you can see it's kind of puckering there, and I'm just going to reshape it, make it back to that little circle that we had. And now I'm going to tie this off here in the center. All right, tie it off, and I'm going to trim it. I'll leave a little bit. Don't want to go all the way to the end to my knot. All right, that guy's going to sit aside right now while we work on the next one. So we're going to start at the very beginning and do the same thing again, because our instructions tell us that we're making 2 heart tops. So magic circle comes up through these 2 fingers, loops over towards me, back over, and crisscross. Okay, I'm going to hold with my thumb on these, and this finger is pressing and holding that. So I'm going to come in under the one closest to my fingernail, and I'm going to go through here and loop it and pull it through, and then I'm going to do that one more time. Okay, there we go. Magic circle, magic ring, excuse me, and you see there it goes. It does its trick. All right, let's do the same thing again, where we're going to do 6, hang on just a second. We're going to do 6 single crochets into our ring. Alrighty, so go through my magic ring, loop over, pull through, loop over, pull through. Let's do it again. Go into the circle, pull through again. Now, if you chose to do the chain 3 slip stitch, you made a little ring, and you're going to do the same thing inside that ring. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's what I start with. I'm going to pull this tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, we're going to come around. We're going to go through here, and this time we're doing 2 in each of these stitches. 2 single crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right, and our instructions so that now we're going to go back around again, 1 single crochet in each stitch. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, 4, oh goodness, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right. But this time I'm not going to cut it off because I'm going to join it with this guy. And our instructions say that we're going to fasten off the first one, which we did. But when we're finishing this one, we're going to keep it connected to the working yarn. This is my working yarn. And I'm going to slip stitch it to join these two together. Okay. So I'm going to slip stitch to join these two together. So let's get that done first. And the slip stitch is just going into one of these stitches. And I want to identify my stitches and make sure I know what I'm looking at here. So to help me, I like to use a stitch marker. This helps me out so much. So I like these kind because they just stick in there. They don't clip or anything like that. It makes it a lot easier to pull them in and out. All right, so that's where I'm going to start on the next thing I see, the next V. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So this spot right here is not a stitch. I need to remember that, okay? So I'm going to come in and slip stitch there, and it's not going to be one of my stitches, okay? So I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to slip stitch. And a slip stitch just takes, and you yarn over, and you pull through one, pull through the other, and that's it. There's no looping over like you would do in a single crochet. All right, so now my instructions tell me to single crochet in each stitch around. So I'm going to go around this one, which is 12, and then I'm going to go around this one, which is 12. So I'll have a total of 24 stitches when I'm finished. Here we go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. That's the first one. And now I'm going to come to the second one. So here it is, it's side by side. I'm going to count my stitches again so I know exactly where I'm going. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I'm going to put my stitch marker, oops, it slipped away from me, in this stitch right here, because this is going to be my last stitch. Just in case I get confused or miscount or anything, that's how that's going to be. Okay, so I'm starting right here. So I'm just going to go and do my single crochet. That's 1, 2, 3, See, this is why I put that stitch marker in there. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now, a stitch marker can be a lot of different things. It can be another color of yarn that you just loop in there. But I like these little guys. They're just real handy, and they come in a package that has several of them. So if you lose one, you've got more behind there, you know, more to use. Okay, so we've done that first row, or first round there where we've connected them, and we made that single crochet all around to get to 24. Now, this right here, I want to show you what it looks like. I'm going to pull this out a little bit. Don't lose my loop. So here we go, and we've got a tail sticking out of this guy. What we have so far is just this tip top right here. As you notice, it starts getting smaller as we come to the bottom. And so to do that, we have to do steps that will cause a decrease in stitches. So we start off with 12, but the next time we go around, we're going to have less stitches, and each time we go around, we're going to have fewer stitches. To accomplish that, we have a special stitch, and it is called the single crochet 2 together. And we'll do that on each end, and that's going to help us reduce our stitches. And I'll show you when we get there. We'll talk about it, but that's what's going to give us this shape. So we start with 12, and we're going to end up down here at the very end. Looks like we're going to end up with 9. Okay, so let's do it. Oh, before that, let's get this tail out of the way. Oh my goodness. It is really long. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it a little bit because it is so long. And then I'm going to take and went through the middle. I'm going to thread this, and I like to, if I can't get it easily by doing this, which sometimes that's hard. You saw earlier it split the thread. If you fold it over and just press it through there, it works great. And a yarn needle is different than like a regular sewing needle. There's a couple of things. Number one, they're bigger, and the eye of the needle is bigger, so you can get thick yarn through there. The second thing is this end is not sharp like a sewing needle is really, really pointy. This, you're not going to poke yourself and it go through your skin. It's just meant for going through your yarn. It's really great. So I'm just going to pull that through, and now I'll just tuck it inside here. You know, since I don't have anything to tie it off on, I think I'm going to go ahead and tuck it in a little bit. So to do that, let's do this. I always like to put it through and then do my thread on the eye of the needle when I'm doing yarn. It also helps if you keep the end of the yarn short right there. It helps you get this through there and then pull through without it getting all tight. All right, so now I'm going to go to the next row, and I'm going to go through some stitches there, and if you'll see, my needle's not coming through on this side. I'm just going through like the first loops that I see there. I'm going to push this through. If I had left the tail longer, if I hadn't cut it off like I did a while ago, then I wouldn't have to rethread it every time. So something to consider for yourselves. All right, and then I'm going to go back through where I started. Whenever you're doing crochet, I've learned this tip, and it is to go back and forth 3 times when you're sewing in your tails. There we go. And then I'm just going to trim this a little bit closer. There we go. And now it's out of the way. Alrighty, let's start. Now we're going to be on round 4. And round 4 tells me that I'm going to single crochet 5 to start with. So there's my next stitch. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now the next thing it tells me to do is it has this, it says SC together, and my stitch explanation tells me that that is single crochet 2 together, and it goes like this. I'm going to stick my needle in the next stitch. I'm going to yarn over and pull through, but I'm not going to finish the stitch. I'm going to go into the next one. I'm going to yarn over and pull through. Now I have three loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through all 3 at once. It took 2 stitches and it made 1 out of it. That's how we reduce in this pattern. All right, so now it says to single crochet 10. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And now I'm going to do another one of those special stitches, a single crochet 2 together. So I'm going in, pulling it through, but I'm not finishing the stitch. I'm going to go in the next one, pull it through, loop over, pull through all 3 at once. And then I'm going to finish this round by single crocheting 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So we're starting to decrease the size here. The next round, I'm going to start again with a single crochet of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I'm going to do that special stitch of single crochet 2 together. So go in, pull through, go in the next stitch, pull through. I have 3 on the hook, loop over, pull through all 3. This time I'm only going to single crochet 9. So that's 1, make sure I got the right stitch. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And now I'm going to do the special stitch. So that's go in, pull through, go in the next one, pull through, and pull through all 3. Then I'm going to do 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Round 6 starts with single crocheting 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it wants me to do my special stitch, but I'm going to show you something that I've noticed as I've been doing this, and I made a lot of hearts. I'm at a point right now where I seem to be right in the middle. When I lay this flat, it seems to be right in the middle. And I feel like that special stitch needs to be more right here. So I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm going to go 2 more stitches, and then I'll do my special stitch. We can make these adjustments. And it's okay because we've learned how to do a single crochet, and we can see with our eyes, like, oh, I'm supposed to make that adjustment to make it go in, and we understand that that decrease stitch is meant to make it smaller, and I want to make it smaller on these edges right here. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and do my special stitch here. 1, 2, 3 loops, and I'm going to pull it through. And now I'm going to come through and come on this side. It says I'm going to do 8. So let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see where we are. Yeah, that's good. All right, let's do that special stitch. 1, 2, and pull through all 3. Okay, and now we're going to do 4 single crochets. We'll see if we need to make an adjustment. We will. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you need to make an adjustment, I would make an adjustment as I'm getting closer here. So as you're doing this, you can have the pattern as your reference, and you can follow along with me, but you may not need to make an adjustment. That's okay. Okay. So it says now I'm on round 7. I'm going to single crochet 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see how we're doing. Yep, we're good. We're on track. Let's go ahead. It's close enough. I'm good to do that special stitch. There we go. Got it through. And now I'm going to do 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I want to do one more. I know that that is like counterintuitive, maybe against doing a decrease, but I feel like I can. I feel like it's going to be okay. I'm still decreasing, still getting smaller. It's going to be okay. And in the end, this is a crocheted heart. It's not a big, scary thing. We're just going to enjoy doing this together. Now it says I'm going to do 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now at this point, after round 7, it says, stuff your heart shape so far with fiber fill. So I'm going to pull this out so I don't lose my loop. And we're going to start stuffing. Now, sometimes if you're not familiar with how to do stuffing, you may take a big chunk and stuff it all in there. But I'm going to tell you a secret. So it is to take little bits at a time and stuff it in there. When you do that, it actually makes better, where it's the mushiness is better if we do little bits at a time. So I'm just stuffing in. I'm going in each of these little tops a little bit and stuffing. And right now I can stuff with my finger. Later on, I'm gonna have to stuff with my crochet hook because the hole's going to be a lot smaller. Now remember I showed you earlier how I had hearts that were different sizes, and it all has to do with how much of this fiber fill you put in it. So if you just keep going and keep going, your heart will be nice and fluffy. But another thing that could happen, the more fluff that you put in there, it stretches out these stitches to where you would start to be able to see that fluff in there. So if that bothers you, don't put as much fluffing in there, okay? Or much of this fiber fill. And I'm just gonna put one more piece in here. There we go. Okay, so we've got the fiber fill in to start, and we've got a nice little puffy heart happening. How fun is that? All right, let's get back. And now we're going to pick up with round 8, where it says I'm going to start with a single crochet of 3 and kind of have to push that fluff out of the way. And I'm going to go 1 and 2 and 3. And then I'm going to put 2 stitches together. So it's 1 and 2 and go through all 3. Then I'm going to do 6 stitches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Still feel like I'm far away. Gonna add one more there. And then I'm going to do my special stitch. 1, 2, and come through all 3. And then I'm going to do 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now for round 9, I'm going to start off with 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do my special stitch. Come through all 3. And then we're going to do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's do our special stitch. 1, 2, 3 there. And then we're going to do 2. 1 and 2. All right. Now my instructions tell me that I need to put some more fiber fill in there. So I've got a little bit more room. So I'm going to take some, I'm going to grab it off. And I'm going to put that in there. Still big enough hole that I can use my finger to stuff it in there. There we go. Excuse me. There we go. There's that. And round 10 says I'm going to do 2. 1. Oops, there we go. 1, 2. And it's saying to do my special stitch here, but I don't think I need to just yet. There, I can do it now. 1, 2, all 3. And now I'm going to come around here and do 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oops, I had one more stitch there. Now I'll do my special stitch, 2 together. Make sure I get in there. There we go. Come through all 3, and then do 2, 1. Oh, excuse me, not special stitch. 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets. All right, now it says I can add a little bit more if I want to, and I think I will, just a little bit. With the darker color yarn, it's more noticeable. If you have white stuff and fluff, it shows. Okay. So I'm going to now do round 11, and it says do 2. So I'm going to do 2, 1, and 2, and then I'm going to do 2 together, 1, 2, and then I'm going to do 3, 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to do 2 together, 1, 2, pull that through, and then finish it off with 2, 1, and 2. Okay, I'm going to pull this out a little bit here, and it says I can put a little bit more in here if I need to. Actually it doesn't, but I know I've got a little bit of room there. I'm going to take a little bit of fluff, and I'm going to put it over the hole, and I'm going to take my crochet needle and just carefully push it in there. There we go. Now, the last thing says cinch up the small hole and fasten off. So I want a pretty long tail. So I gave myself a lot of room here. And I'm going to thread my needle to close off the hole. So to close off the hole, I'm just going to go into the next stitch and do kind of a whip stitch, if you will, if you're a sewist. Come in each one of these, and I'm just looping in and coming out, looping in and coming out, and I'm going to get all the way here to the beginning, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm just going to pull that, and it's going to pull that taut or tight there. Okay, and then I am going to finish it off with a knot, but I'm going to take the knot and it's going to end up going inside my heart here. So I'm just going to go and grab, just go in a stitch there, and I'm going to make a knot, and I'm going to do it one more time. Now, I'm going to take my tail and I'm going to come all the way through. Now, I notice that I have a hole right here, and maybe that happens to you too. So here's how we fix it. I've got that long tail. I'm taking my needle and I'm pushing it all the way up, and I'm coming in right beside my hole, right there. Okay, and I want to make sure that I don't pull that so tight that I don't have a nice little point on my heart there. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch this close. So here's my tail. I'm going to come over this side and then come back to this side. My tail, I could have used a longer tail. That would have been helpful. But since I don't have a longer tail, I'm just going to go ahead and get my needle in there and then thread it like I've done before. Apparently, I need to make longer tails. That's what I've learned today. All right, I'm going to pull that through, and not too tight because I don't want to create other holes, but just enough where it closes up that hole. It's not as noticeable. If you're like, but I can still see more, I don't like the way that looks, then go through and come out at a different spot. So like if I were to do that, it's not the same hole. If you keep going in and out the same hole, you're going to make another hole. It won't be a friend. And I just come through there. And there it's all nice and tidy. And then I want to finish it off with a little knot. And then I'll put that knot inside my project. Okay. I'm going to pull that through. Man, I could have used a longer tail for sure. I'm going to tie that off. There we go. Now, how do we bury that knot? We take our needle, we push it down into the fiber fill and come out somewhere else. We go ahead and put the end through the eye of the needle. And then we pull this through. And that is going to pull that knot in there and the tail. And if you have any bit of tail sticking out, just take and stuff it in there, and it becomes part of the fluffing for your heart. All right, so that's our heart that we've just made. Now I had an idea, and that is, what if we made a multicolor heart, maybe a 2-color heart? What would that look like? So let's try and see. I've got a couple of colors of pink here that I want to use. Okay. So what we could do is, let me find my end. If I started with, this is a good tutorial right here. I like to start with my thread coming up from the center on a skein of yarn because it comes out nice and easy. So sometimes you have to dig in there, and I just dig as close as I get to the middle, and then I pull out. Now, you might pull out a wad like I just did. That's okay. You'll find the end. I don't think I have it in this spot, but I feel like it is right around here somewhere. There it is. There's that end. So I like to start with the end from the middle because it just flows out so nicely. All right, let's do this one too. Sometimes yarn will automatically have like a little tail sticking out of the end. I feel like this one, this Soft Classic, is one that does that. Okay, so I've got both of my ends. And what I'm thinking to do is have the top half of my heart the hot pink and the bottom half of my heart the light pink. So I think that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to get going. I'm going to make the 2 tops, join them together, and we'll come back when it's time to do the transition to the next color so I can show you how that works. All right, so I'm getting to the point where I want to add another color. I just finished round 5, but I don't want the color to start right in the middle. I think I want it to start on a side. We'll do it from the side, we'll see. And if we don't like that, then when you make it, maybe you start from the middle right there when you finish a round. So as I start round 5, it's excuse me, I just finished round 5, I'm moving to round 6. So as I start round 6, it says to do single crochet, 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now I'm going to do my 2 single crochets together. And this is where I want to add in my new color. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to take and change over to this yarn. Oops, wrong way. I keep doing the wrong thing. Okay, so I went through the one, and now I'm going to go in through the second one, and instead of pulling this darker pink, I'm going to pull this lighter pink through. Okay, and I'm going to keep working with just the lighter pink now. So as I move around, it says I'm going to do, remember I'm on round 6, so I'm going to do 8 single crochets now. Oh wait, I've got to pull through all 3 of them. Whoops. How about there? There we go. Now we've pulled through all 3. We've got that stitch locked in there. I am going to cut off that. And I'm just going to tie a knot. Later, I'll pull this into the heart. But I'm just going to tie these guys together. And do one more knot. And then I'll do with those tails later on. All right, here we go. Now we're just going to keep going with the rest of it, and we've changed colors. You can do this as many times as you like. If you want to have 3 color, 4 color, if you want to go back and forth, it's up to you. Just know that whenever you do, you're going to change your color. You're going to end up with some tails that you'll knot off, and then you'll end up putting that knot into your work after you're done. So I'll check back with you when we're done so we can look at it together. All right, I've got a few more strings to take care of here. I've got this knot from where we joined in. So I'm going to take and I'm going to put these guys on together. And I'm going to try to stay in the dark area. Let's see how that works. All right, I want to go in right here, right next to it. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's going to be the best spot. And I'm just going to go in. I'm going to come out the other side. Okay, pull that back. I'm going to pull these a little bit. And then when I squish that back out, and if there's any tails to be shown, I'll just tuck them back in there. And all right, so let's talk about the 2 color. Do we think we should have done it in the middle or on the side like I did? So I did it on the side, and you can see right there, that's the join. And I think it would really be noticeable. This would be noticeable had it been in the middle. But being on the edge, and I probably could have come over a little bit more and done it, and where it would have just really been hidden on this side. But I think I do like having joined it on the side. So if I were to do this again, I'd make sure my joins happen on the side. But I like the way that turned out. I think it's awfully fun to have the 2 colors in there. All right. Well, you guys have fun making hearts and sharing these little pocket hearts with people. And I call them little pocket hearts because it's something you can take and you can just stick with you. It's fun to squish around with and just really enjoy. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.